So what are the causes then of fat storage around the heart muscle?
The same things that cause, Max, a great question, same things that cause, visceral fat, muscle fat, also cause this heart fat. I've never seen one person, because it's all proportional, that has a lot of visceral fat and muscle fat and doesn't have a lot of heart fat. There's a little bit sometimes a flavoring of a disproportionality.
But you said my visceral fat is low, but I do have
when we get into your visceral fat, you're low, and I hesitate to use that term. You have a modest amount of visceral fat compared to other people, but proportionally, the exact same amount. I mean, when we get to your visceral fat, this is exactly what I would predict, that layer of fat around your heart.
Got it.
And so it is. It's really not that not unexpected. So maybe we'll scan down, and while we're here looking at that, it's probably worth just taking a quick peek at heart fat that people don't really. Let me just pull up this.
Yeah, this is so interesting.
But heart fat is something. I'll switch screens so we don't lose that particular screen. But you should look, Max, at this heart fat. I mean, if it wasn't bad enough to, I don't know why that screen. Maybe you have to hit that button again, Max, on the back to turn it on.
Should I hit it?
Yeah, there's a button kind of and see if it goes on.
There we go. Oh man,
it cost you a little editing here.
It is pretty wild that you can be doing everything quote unquote right, and still there's still things going on. There's a degree of luck, genetics.
Yeah, genetics.
But there's nothing more motivating than having a picture, like a screenshot, essentially, of what's going on in your body.
Yeah, a picture is worth
1,000
words, and that's why we see so much of this benefit to doing these images. So hopefully this pulls up now. Maybe try that again, see if it comes on. Okay, good. So
there we go.
This is a heart, Max, and what you should and Genius Life audience understand. Those arteries that you have a heart attack, they're not in the muscle, they're on the outside. So when you have fat on the outside of your heart, it's up against those arteries. And on autopsies, this is very interesting. I used to be a medical examiner for the state of Virginia. If that heart artery, coronary artery, dives down into the muscle, it's called an anatomic variant. Does something that's not normal. It's a variant of what normally happens. And there's muscle all the way around it. So you could think of muscle insulating the artery, protecting it from the fat around the heart. Guess what happens? No atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease in that one segment. So what does that mean? When this crap is up against your artery, it's bad. And when it's protected, i.e. there's none, you don't get this arterial disease. But let's look at these photographs, okay? So this is a healthy heart. I mean, a healthier heart. Even this has fat around the artery. So this is what's called the left anterior descending artery. That's the widowmaker, appropriately named because it makes widows. So this oftentimes what kills people, and that's the right coronary artery. But you can see that fat. But what do you see mostly is the exposed heart without a lot of fat around. So this is a young person, probably a motor vehicle accident, trauma, something killed them. And so this is heart that is available on an autopsy. But let's look at somebody with a more moderate amount of fat. Now you can begin to see, damn, that shit is not good. You don't want to have this chunk of fat around your heart, but there's still exposed areas. You can still see quite a bit of the heart has not encased it. Now, here is a much more extensive amount of that heart fat. Now, question. You've never been to medical school, but you're not the average person. Do you think a heart that's encased in this kind of fat can beat very well?
No, that doesn't look good to me.
No. Now, here's the surprising thing. Do you know, I have hundreds of people that come to me, and they're typically in their 50s and 60s. Guess of all these three, what most people look like?
I'm going to guess C.
Yeah.
Especially today.
Yeah.
Where a population that's 42% obese.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is why these people come to me and they're completely shocked when I give them an MRI and I show them this thick area of fat encasing their heart that's literally keeping them from their heart squeezing as much. So this is important to be able to show, and I show these images before I actually get into your heart. So we'll return this image and get back into your own level of heart, so you have an awareness now. Hopefully that pops up of what the importance of this fat. So your heart is pretty got a pretty thick area of fat around it. You know, you can see it's quite thick now. This is the bottom of your heart. This is your vertebral body, your aorta, your lungs, and
is that my spinal
back
cord
muscles.
Right there?
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is your posterior aspect of your spinal column. And it's not an idealized view to take a look at. We typically like to get a sagittal view to look at your back pathology. And this, you know, the resolution on this is not nearly as good as what we typically see in monitors looking at backs, where you look at for a lot more detail. But fat, you know, to your point, we don't need a lot of resolution. So the cool thing is these antiquated scanners that are around the country, most scanners are about 1.5 Tesla or 3 Tesla scans, but you can get a 0.3 Tesla, a relatively low, cheap MRI scan, and find out about this valuable fat around your heart and fat in your muscle, and we can see it in good resolution. We may miss little teeny tiny tumors, but what I would repurpose all the antiquated MRIs instead of shipping them off to crazy places like you know, the Middle East and Guam and funny little countries that can't afford, you know, brand new machines. You know, we could use them here in the United States just to do them for wellness scans, which would be a very innovative use of disease. So there's your stomach. We can see your spleen. We're going to scan down a little bit lower now and start seeing into your abdomen. Your right kidney, your left kidney, very distinct structures. Max's gallbladder.
This is so cool.
So this is Max inside, and this is Max's liver. Your back muscles, a little fatty infiltration, rectae spinae muscles. So as that continues, Max, this is why if you don't get rid of this, it will continue to deposit, and your spine will not be as erect anymore. I mean, you're going to be a bent over dude. But again, I see, you know, nice muscles. Your muscles are big. You have some fatty deposit within them, but it's a relatively modest amount. And then by the way, these are your core. So your iliopsoas muscles. So your core are important because we see the distance between the anterior aspect of your core and your abdominis rectus, your six-pack up here, is an important measurement. So the larger that displacement from the anterior aspect to the abdominis rectus, the more disease potential you have. Now yours, you see how oval shape you are? Mm-hmm. If Max, I'll just say to the audience, this oval shape on Max's abdomen here, he takes his shirt off, he ain't got a dad bod. He's got a nice oval shaped abdomen. The dad bod happens because the accumulation of visceral fat displacing the abdomen more anterior, and they get this big bulge going on. And so Max is really quite oval for 42. His abdominal shape is really more consistent with somebody in their mid-20s. So he's very youthful, and I would say more healthy. Now all that white is visceral fat inside of him, and he wants none. So you have it, but you know, from a quantitative standpoint, Max, you've got far less than I would put you better than 95 to 97% of 42-year-olds. So again,
that's
I'm
nice to hear.
So damn proud of you.
Thank you.
Because you're an influencer and you're walking the walk. You're not just talking about it, but you know, you're way better. Now, what will really happen is see, you know, if we can get rid of all of that and make you even more, oval shape.
Hey, if you liked that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.